So first, a few house rules and audience instructions before we start. So all of you, you have your microphones muted and your cameras are off during the webinar. You can add your questions to the 4 speakers during or after their presentations. So you can do that in the Q&A part of your Zoom. It's down below at the end of the page. I will be reading the selected questions during the sessions to the speakers. We wish you have a respectful and professional comments, and we thank you for your cooperation and participation. So please feel free to add your questions. My name is Satu Rautakallio-Hokkanen, and I am the General Director of Fertility Europe. And just a few words about Fertility Europe and European Fertility Week. Fertility Europe is an umbrella association of European infertility patient associations. We were founded in 2009, and at the moment we have already 35 members from 29 European countries. Fertility Europe is registered in Brussels, and this year's European Fertility Week is the 10th European Fertility Week because the first one was in 2016. This year, we are focusing on the urgent need for fertility education and public information. That's where our slogan comes from: facts forward, education and information. Education rarely addresses how fertility changes over the time or reflects the different knowledge needs that arise at various ages and life stages. This campaign is mainly done online via social media platforms and website, and feel free to use our hashtag EFW2025 facts forward. The webinar with distinguished speakers and leading experts from the field tonight. And our speakers. Irina Popova first, she's from Fertility Europe, and she's going to talk about fertility awareness for teens. The second speaker is Christiana Stylianos, and she's talking about inclusive and accessible reproductive health education. Our third speaker is a patient representative, Vassiliki Chantzakou from Mitrotita Association Greece, and she's talking about the facts forward imperative, the human price of fertility ignorance, an overview from the perspective of infertility patients and Mitrotita. And the fourth speaker is Professor Samir Hamamah from University of Montpellier, France, and he's going to talk about worldwide strategy for fighting infertility, lessons from France program. And after these 4 speakers, we will have approximately 25 minutes for Q&A. So the title of this webinar is Your Body Knows, Do You? Fertility Knowledge for Every Stage. And the first speaker is Fertility Europe's very own Irina Popova, who is the Vice Chair of Fertility Europe, and her topic is fertility awareness for teens, learning today for a healthier tomorrow. And I will stop sharing, and Irina, you can start share in a minute.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Irina Popova. I'm the Vice Chairperson of Fertility Europe. As a first speaker today, I will start where the life's biggest changes in reproduction start, the teenage years. And I will talk to you about why learning fertility at this stage matters for our health and for our future. Let me start by asking you, when did you first hear the word fertility in school? For many of us, it wasn't until our 20s or even later. And even then, the conversation was very often too vague or too technical, or it was alarmingly late. But why shall we talk about fertility at the age of 15? First, because the adolescence is a critical period. The brain is rapidly developing then, especially in the areas that are related to identity, to long-term thinking and decision-making. It's the time when habits form and future priorities begin to take shape. The age 13 to 18 is also critical for shaping attitudes and long-term health behavior. Teens are very highly receptive to values and around body awareness. They are going through crucial biological and emotional changes, yet reproductive health is very rarely part of the conversation. Fertility is often misunderstood or not discussed at all during teenage years. By the age of 15, most teenagers have received some sex education at school, but rarely any fertility education. Traditional sex education usually focuses on avoiding pregnancy, but says little about how fertility works, how it changes over time, and how lifestyle factors affect it. At the same time, the internet, the online sources are full of misinformation and myths, and this is where the teens are looking for information. Meanwhile, here is a picture of the reproductive landscape in Europe. For the past 50 years, the birth rates have steadily declined, while infertility rates at the same time have risen across Europe. The total fertility rate for the 27 EU member countries during the last statistics was 1.38 births per woman, which is the lowest recorded in EU since 2004. And as you all know, the number required just to maintain the population is 2. Meanwhile, the average age of mothers at first birth in the EU was almost 30 years. And approximately 25 million people in Europe face infertility. This is basically 1 in 6 couples. When we delay parenthood for education, for careers or stability, biology hasn't evolved to match that timeline. We are seeing a global trend, rising infertility, increasing reliance on medically assisted reproduction, and declining reproductive health, which is often due to preventable or modifiable factors. What is alarming is the mismatch between perception and reality. Many young people think that IVF is a guarantee or that fertility is something that they can do later in life. And as professionals, we need to bridge that gap by introducing the concept of fertility before there have become a personal crisis. Fertility Europe's initiative responds to well-documented decline in fertility rates across Europe and increased trend of delayed parenthood. So we joined forces together with IRHEC to create a project which aims to assess the level of fertility awareness among European teenagers aged 15 to 18, with the objective, first, to highlight the need for introducing fertility education in schools, and the second, to propose some effective solutions via which we can increase fertility awareness among this specific target group. But why do we aim at fertility awareness? We define fertility awareness as the extent of knowledge and understanding about the human reproductive system and fertility life cycle, including potential threat to reproductive health and the ways to safeguard it through different life stages. Why do we focus on fertility awareness? First, because improved reproductive health can lead to fewer complications later in life, to better family planning, and overall improved health. Second, we are addressing the rising rates of infertility, which are often linked to delayed parenthood and preventable lifestyle factors. So we think that increasing fertility awareness among young people can help to identify the issues early on, which leads to timely intervention and reducing infertility rates. And also there is a strong economic argument. By increasing awareness and in preventing avoidable infertility, we reduce the future demand for costly treatments, like assisted reproductive technologies. And finally, this initiative also promotes gender equality, because fertility is very often seen as a woman's issue. But awareness education encourages shared responsibilities between all genders. It allows both young women and men to understand fertility better and make joint informed decisions about if and when to have kids in the future. So in short, infertility awareness is a preventive, empowering, and cost-effective strategy that supports both individual and public health. But why do we focus on teenagers? First, because of the early education. As I mentioned, teenagers are at critical stage of their development, and physiological changes, social influences can have a long-lasting impact on their health and behavior. So educating teenagers about reproduction and fertility early during that period allows them to make informed decisions later in life. The preventive approach is also very important. Raising awareness about fertility early can help to prevent future issues related to infertility, as teens will have better understanding on how lifestyle choices affect their health. Reaching future generations by targeting teenagers, the project ensures that the next generation of adults will be more informed to handle their reproductive health. And schools are probably the only place where we can reach nearly all teenagers equally, which makes them the most effective setting for fertility education. Because we think that fertility literacy should not be a privilege. And starting this education early enough ensures that all adolescents, regardless of gender, background, or identity, can understand their own biology and their options. So one thing should be clear when we speak about educating teenagers. This is not about pressure, not about talking to them about having kids early. It's about knowledge, it's about health, and it's about autonomy in making future decisions. Very briefly, what is the FACTS project that we just finished our pilot stage? The objective, as I mentioned, was to assess infertility awareness levels among European teens and at the same time to raise awareness through age-appropriate and engaging form of education. We were studying the age group of 15 to 18. We have chosen 4 pilot countries across Europe: Bulgaria, Norway, Poland, and Portugal. And the pilot stage that was completed this year took 3 years. The method we chose was a serious educational game, used both as educational and as a survey tool. And we have created a special digital platform to support their structured learning. We have chosen the serious educational game because it's highly effective for engaging teenagers. Interactive experiences usually hold their attention more and make learning more meaningful. The games usually promote active decision-making and problem-solving, and since fertility also can be a very sensitive subject, the game offers a private and space for them for exploring without any embarrassment or judgment. By using some relatable scenarios, the game makes the information more memorable to them and more emotionally resonant. And also because digital platforms are very easy to scale and distribute across countries, which makes them an ideal tool for broader educational reach. This is the web address of the game, and I kindly invite you to have a look after and to try your knowledge. There are options for everyone. Even if you're over 18, you can still play the game and see if you know the things well. So, why digital platform education for teens? Because the teens are digital generation. This is where they are. And they spend hours every day on screens to learn, to explore, and to connect. Because the interactive format, like the one that we use in our serious educational game, is better to help them engage and to retain the complex topics like fertility much better than traditional school lectures. Also, it's scalable and accessible across regions, across languages, and across learning needs. It offers, as mentioned, safe space to explore sensitive topics, and the best part, that it's data-driven. So the pilot phase was just over, and here are the main outcomes. In the 4 pilot countries, we have conducted 10 interviews with focus groups consisting of teenagers. We have received insight on teen knowledge and teen attitudes. We got feedback which helped us to improve the game. And we also managed to distribute the game at around 10,000 people, almost 4,000 of which were teens in the pilot countries. We mostly reached teenagers through schools and through their biology and psychology teachers. And I can say that we demonstrated that a gamified tool can engage teens across different cultures. And it was like a real life proof that digital learning is effective and it's scalable. What we have learned from those almost 4,000 teens in 4 pilot countries. Several important insights. First of all, fertility awareness gaps are strikingly consistent across countries. We got basically the same percentages of correct answers to our questions in the 4 pilot countries. Also, we saw that teens tend to overestimate fertility and older ages, and they showed limited understanding of the risk factors such as age and sexually transmitted infections. Encouragingly, the tool was very well received by the students who responded positively to the digital and gamified format. We also saw very strong interest from the educators, which confirmed that the tool has potential for integration into school setting. That said, school remained the most effective and trusted environment for reaching this age group. However, there was one major challenge: gaining access to schools in some of the countries due to bureaucratic institutional barriers or even religious concerns. So this is where we need to work more with the government in order to introduce the education on reproductive health within the school curricula. And finally, the pilot phase of the project confirmed that digital educational platforms offer key advantages like flexibility, scalability, and ability to meet the young people where they are online. We can say that fertility awareness gap was identified. First, fertility is rarely discussed in schools. almost never addressed in school health education, and when it is, it typically happens too much late. Most teenagers reach adulthood without ever learning the basics of how fertility works or how their current choices might affect their future reproductive health. Many young people associate fertility with adult life, not realizing that some decisions they make during adolescence can have a lasting impact on their reproductive health. For example, most students are familiar with the dangers of smoking and alcohol due to decades of campaigning by different international and national health organizations. But the teenagers mostly lack basic knowledge about sexually transmitted diseases. Only 64% of the surveyed students answered correctly the questions about STIs, which is alarmingly low given the fact that the questions were very simple. One of the clearest findings from our survey was that most teenagers do not understand how fertility changes with age. It tells us that teens are not getting accurate, science-based information about reproductive biology, especially about the time-sensitive nature of fertility. As you can see, the percentage of correct questions about fertility lifespan were alarmingly low. This is basically corresponds to a school grade insufficient or bad. This means also that kids think that they have their entire future to decide about having kids, which is not the case. We also found that the teachers are feeling unequipped with knowledge and with tools to address the topic of fertility and reproductive health efficient enough. And this is why we need a structured, science-based school curricula about fertility, and we need it urgently. Why this thing matter? Because informed young people will become later on empowered adults. And because fertility is part of the overall health. And yet it is often left out of the health education entirely. Knowledge gaps can have real-life consequences like delayed family planning, due to unrealistic expectations that their fertility will last forever, rising infertility rates, late diagnosis, misinformation spread online or through peers, emotional stress and costly treatments later in life that could be preventable. Because teenagers are future adults, and what they learn today shapes the decision they will make tomorrow. So early and honest education will help to remove the stigma, or at least reduce it, and to normalize the conversation around reproductive health. After all, it is all about empowerment and not about pressure. We don't tell the teens what to choose, we give them the tools to choose well, because everyone deserves access to science-based and age-appropriate fertility information. And this is our call to action to all stakeholders around Europe. Fertility awareness is not optional. It's essential health education and should be included in the school education. So we invite you to help us scale the impact of our digital platform. Share the site myfacts.eu with your networks. Play the game, show it to your kids, show it to your neighbors, show it to your students. Advocate for fertility education in your country's school curricula. And please join us in our efforts. If you need more information, you can find the detailed report about the pilot phase of our project Facts on the website of Fertility Europe. And of course, you are welcome to reach us by email. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Irina. And I am so sorry I forgot to introduce you properly before you started. But like we heard, with over 20 years of experience as a patient advocate and volunteer, Irina focuses on fertility education, public awareness of reproductive health, infertility prevention, and patients' rights. Irina has played a major role in several educational initiatives for young people, including the FACTS project that she just presented to us. She represents Fertility Europe in the International Reproductive Health Education Collaboration of ESRE. And then we go to our next speaker. And it's Christiana Stylianos. Christiana is a member of the steering committee for the International Reproductive Health Education Collaboration and serves as the scientific director and head of fertility services for a prominent fertility group in Cyprus. With over 20 years of experience as a clinical embryologist, she has led large fertility units across Europe and the Middle East. Christiana recognizes the significant gaps in reproductive health education and fertility awareness, particularly in underserved communities, and is dedicated to improving access to this vital information. She regularly contributes to the clinical embryology course at the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens and organizes public educational events aimed at raising awareness. So, Christiana, your turn.
Hello, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Christiana. I'm a member of the IRHEC steering committee, and this afternoon I am going to share a quick update on IRHEC's mission and structure, highlight some of our publications relating to fertility education, and give you a glimpse of our ongoing activities and other global initiatives. But first, for those of you who may not be familiar with us, what is IRHEC and who are we? Well, we're a multidisciplinary collective of people from many different countries with an interest in reproductive health education and promotion. We believe information must be accessible, inclusive, and continuously updated. IRHEC was founded in 2019 by Professor Joyce Harper and Professor Karen Hamamah. In 2021, we joined forces with ASHRA. And in 2023, we decided to change our name from the International Fertility Education Initiative to the International Reproductive Health Education Collaboration to better reflect our mission, which is to give young people the best possible chance of achieving their reproductive goals, whatever they might be. And this phrase is very intentionally broad because reproductive goals can mean many different things to different people. For example, it can mean choosing to not have any children at all, or being able to have the exact number of children one wishes for. It can also mean understanding that fertility declines with age. And what ties all of this together is a comprehensive reproductive health education, the foundation that allows individuals to make informed decisions, whatever their path may be. So IRHEC's mission is to increase reproductive health awareness among young people, people of reproductive age, healthcare professionals, and policymakers. Our activities are guided by the IRHEC Steering Committee, which is made up of 10 members, led by our chair, currently Dr. Maria Exander, a chair-elect, Professor Bola Grace, and an immediate past chair, Professor Joyce Harper. It also includes a group of steering committee members, and there's a spot always reserved for a representative from Fertility Europe, who's Irina, who has just spoken to us. The steering committee oversees IRHEC's activities across 3 core areas: research, education, and communication. And we do this with the support of the IRHEC network. The IRHEC network is a large group of people who share the same interests as us and want to contribute to the work we are doing. And we're very proud to have amassed a global network of over 100 members from diverse professional backgrounds, cultures, and regions, including health professionals, academics, embryologists, journalists, and many more. And this amazing group of people from across the world is ultimately what drives our growth and ensures our long-term sustainability and helps spread our message effectively on a global scale. A significant part of our work involves researching the best ways to educate people about reproductive health. And we've written several articles on such topics, with several more papers relating to social media and reproductive health education currently under review. We've also developed an online database of published evidence in the field, which we update on a regular basis. However, despite our efforts, fertility education continues to be mostly overlooked. And this is mainly due to a lack of consensus on what the content should be, who the target audiences should be, and who should provide this information. In order to be effective in our attempts to increase education in this field, we first need to clarify what fertility education is and what fertility awareness is. In 2020, the World Health Organization defined fertility education as the use of communication strategies and materials to inform and influence decisions and actions to improve fertility literacy or awareness. Fertility awareness, on the other hand, has been defined as the understanding of reproduction, fecundity, fecundability, and the related individual risk factors, including social and cultural factors that can impact family planning. We believe that fertility education is essential for increasing fertility awareness and building the skills that help us make informed reproductive choices. And the first step is to understand basic fertility facts. We know that as we age, our fertility inevitably declines. And for females, both the quantity and quality of their eggs will decline, making conception harder after our mid-30s. And you can see in the fertile years graph on the top here, there is a sharp decline in fertility rates around the ages of 35 to 39, and a significant rise in miscarriage risk after the age of 40. And sperm is also impacted by age. And despite many men producing millions of sperm per ejaculate and tending to remain fertile throughout their lives, many men over 40 will also experience a similar decline in fertility with less healthy sperm and an increased risk of miscarriage for their partners. The graph on the left shows the birth rates per embryo transfer after fertility treatment. And this also shows how birth rates are closely related to maternal age. So when should we start thinking about babies? Well, research suggests that the best time to start planning for a baby depends on how many children we ultimately want. And research carried out by Professor Hamamah shows that in order to have a 90% chance of having 3 children without the need of IVF, we should start trying by age 23. This information is vital for future family planning and our understanding of our reproductive options. But how many of us had access to this information at the time we needed it? I certainly didn't. So despite having all the facts we want everyone to know, we understood early on that in order to be effective, we had to figure out the best way to share this vital information. So we published an article on how to get the language right when trying to stimulate fertility awareness. And what the research made clear is that our educational material has to be customized for different audiences. And we need to be cautious about the way we deliver this information, as we risk causing unintended negative effects like anxiety or stigma. So our recommendations are to, first of all, acknowledge reproductive autonomy, and we can do this by ensuring that our content respects all types of reproductive choices, including those that maybe don't want to have children or have different family structures. We have to avoid blame in our health messages, especially in regards to obesity and fertility, for example, as we know that education alone often doesn't lead to significant changes. We need to avoid causing unnecessary anxiety by perhaps highlighting that some women in their 40s can still conceive naturally instead of focusing only on the negative age-related decline. We need to make it our message is more male inclusive. We need to emphasize that both genders have an equal responsibility in reproductive health. And finally, we need to work with our target audience to ensure that our messages are relatable to them. And this is something we have done with our fertility poster, which was developed after conducting focus groups with young people in Denmark, Sweden, and in the UK. The goal was to understand their specific educational needs regarding reproductive health, and the findings from this research prompted a redesign of the original poster to make sure the content was clear and appealing to young people. The final poster includes 9 things you should know if you want kids in the future and covers key topics, including information about sperm and eggs, the effect of age on fertility, the fertile window, etc. And it's now available to download in 14 languages. The poster forms part of a larger group of resources developed by IRHEC, which also includes a teacher's resource, which is a PowerPoint and a teaching guide for schools to help deliver reproductive health education. And this covers 10 topics from puberty to the menopause. The teacher resource was created by IRHEC and ESHRA in partnership with FIGO and the IFFS. And this was also developed after conducting research into the school curriculum and working with students and teachers in the UK, Belgium, Greece, and Japan. And it's also currently being translated into several different languages. We've also created a wide range of information leaflets and have shared videos of personal stories, which can be used in educational care, relating to many of the subjects covered in our information leaflet, which range from endometriosis, PCOS, to egg freezing. And we currently have 12 accessible texts, which are all available to download on our website. The IRHEC communication team has also been very busy using social media and newsletters to share information. We're currently running a campaign asking our IRHEC network members across the world what reproductive health education means to them. And we're hoping that by using Reels, we'll engage the younger audiences. This campaign is currently active on Instagram, LinkedIn, and X, so please give us a follow. However, despite our efforts, we realize that reaching young people outside of traditional education methods is very challenging. And as you can see on the right here, only 5% of our Instagram followers are aged 18 to 24. And we realize that to connect with younger people, we may need to explore other platforms like TikTok, perhaps. We understand that making real progress in reproductive health education requires collaboration, and collaboration beyond our small organization, since there's only so much that we can do. And thankfully, in recent years, there's been a positive shift towards promoting reproductive health education and fertility awareness. The UNFPA, the United Nations Population Fund, develops national healthcare strategies to improve reproductive and maternal health in more than 144 countries. Australia was the first to launch a government-funded fertility education program. Denmark launched the world's first fertility assessment and counselling clinic in 2011. And in the UK, fertility education was added to the school curriculum in 2019. And several tools have been developed, a fertility awareness tool called FertiStat, which offers personalised guidance about fertility, an IVF success estimator, which is a calculator using HPA data to estimate the chance of having a live birth. There's also lots going on within Europe. Fertility Europe is doing such an amazing job promoting education and awareness. In Sweden, the Reproductive Life Plan tool is offered by midwives and aimed at family planning. It's hugely successful, and studies have shown an increase in young people's fertility knowledge because of it. And other countries like Belgium, Greece, Portugal, and the Czech Republic have also set up fertility education websites. Interestingly, just a few weeks ago, the UNFPA published the State of World Population Report. And this shed a light on the huge number of people who are currently unable to create the families they want. They asked people across 14 countries, which together represent about a third of the global population, what they actually want for their reproductive lives. And 20% said they believed they won't be able to have the number of children they desire. These further results are also troubling. Almost half of all pregnancies are still unintended. 1 in 10 women cannot decide on contraception use. 1 in 4 women struggle to make healthcare decisions. 1 in 4 women cannot refuse sex. Millions, men and women, lack the ability to exercise their reproductive rights. And this represents the real fertility crisis, not under or overpopulation, which tends to be hyped, but the inability of people to reach their desired fertility goals. The take-home message is that everyone should have the information and means to decide on the number, spacing, and timing of their children, and if they want to have children. As I conclude, I want to highlight that IRHEC's work is grounded in the belief that knowledge is power and that everyone has the right to information about their reproductive health, regardless of geographical location, social and cultural backgrounds. We ultimately want to make fertility and reproductive health awareness a natural part of education and healthcare. We want this information to be passed on from generation to generation, and therefore we need this information to remain relevant, accessible, and inclusive. Moving forward, we aim to evaluate the impact of our work, expand our outreach, hopefully secure funding for continuing our research. We want to engage with policymakers to make sure reproductive health is included within policy agendas. And together with our network, ASHRA, and our collaborators, such as Fertility Europe, we aim to create a future where vital facts are accessible to everyone at exactly the right time. Thank you. This is a photo of the IRHEC steering committee with a few of our network members at the ASHRA annual conference in Paris last year.
Thank you very much, Christiana. And from Fertility Europe side, I can say that we also enjoy very much the cooperation with IRHEC. So thank you very much for telling us about it. Thank you. We have a little change on our agenda. Due to timetable challenges, we are now meeting Professor Samir Hamamah, and Vassiliki will be the last speaker today. So I'm happy to say welcome to Samir Hamamah. He is a distinguished clinician, researcher, and a leading figure in France, specializing in reproductive medicine and biology, and combining deep clinical expertise in assisted reproduction with an advocacy-oriented approach to fertility as a public health issue. He's a professor of reproductive medicine and biology at the University of Montpellier in France. And Professor Hamamah's leadership roles at major institutions, his research on embryo development and reproductive decline, and his influence on public policy mark him as a voice of considerable importance in the field of fertility. He co-authored a major national report on the causes of infertility in France, delivered in February 2022, which influenced the development of the major plan to fight infertility, announced 16th of January 2024. In his clinical and public health advocacy, he emphasizes prevention, highlighting how reproductive health is impacted by age, environmental pollutants, and lifestyle factors. So, Samir, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Satu, for your kind introduction as well as your kind invitation. Let me expose my talk. It's okay for you?
It's opening at the moment. Yes, let's wait for a little
you see
while.
It?
Not yet. It's yes.
Great. So, thank you, Satu, for your kind invitation and your kind introduction. I would like to share with you what we already did in France and what we're doing now, and what we're gonna do exactly. So my talk globally covers three parts. Total fertility rate is failing, global trend impacting fertility rates, and the recent French initiative to foster fertility. So As you can know, demographic decline is an increasingly worrying phenomenon in several regions of the world, notably in Europe, east of Asia, and part of the United States of America. So the question is demographic decline in inevitability or challenge to be met? So, as you know, the access to fertility care is not just a medical issue, but also it is social, economic, and a human right issue. So, just to show for you, if we consider infertility, it is a major problem in health, in public health. So, because as you know, one woman in four at 30 age, uh, uh, she is infertile. One on three when she is 35, and one on two when she is 40. So, second problem is only a fraction can access to effective treatment today in terms of ART treatment. But we always uh, forget that this is access to such treatment should be considered as a human right. So, but it's difficult to speak about decline births worldwide without to integrate life expectancy, migration, infertility, etc. Because as you know today, why infertility is considered in relation to the decline of natality, it's because infertility increases 0.3% and 0.4% for men and women respectively worldwide. So because we are concerning by this in the decline of natality at two levels. First one, because according to the country, for example, in France, the number of births issued from different technique of ART represent around 4%. That means around 30,000 births per year. In north of Europe, up 10% or 12%. In the east of Asia, up 15 or 16%, like in Japan or South Korea. That means ART treatment today may be involved at two levels. First one, to slow the natality by improving ART success rate, first one. Second one, by prevention. That means, as you know, in France, since January 2022, the fertility preservation for no medical reason is allowed now. For the woman from 29th age up 37, and for man from 29 up 45. And second one is now check my FERT consultation. It's already should be reimbursed by our health care in France, as well as a preconceptional consultation 3-4 months before to conceive. So, but something it's still strange and paradoxal is despite of the decline of natality. For example, we have facing to child-free or childless. In France, we have 30% of generation Z generation don't wish to conceive, and in this group of population. They propose to be candidate for egg donation program. So, and even among the family who wish to conceive, they now decide to conceive less. So this is two phenomena. And in South Korea, for example, if you're going to the restaurant, so far, no zone, no kids zone, but you can arriving with your animal, for example. So something is still very strange. This is here to mention in data from 2023 to mention according to the country the number of newborn in developed country represent up 11, but it is not updated data. So the message for you today is low fertility rate and in aging population, because worldwide population now it's aged. Imagine in France, 1 person on 4 aged of 65 and more. In Japan, over 30% of persons aged over 65. That means this problem of aging population poses serious economic challenges, increasing pressure on healthcare system, social security program, as well as the labor force. And on 2060 year, worldwide should be under the total fertility rate, because the level of replacement is 2.1 kids per woman. So from 2060 year, all worldwide population should be under the level of replacement. So, and as you can see here, today, 2020 year, 1 country on 2, it's situated under the replacement level. In 2050, 3 countries on 4, and 2100 year, rounding approximately all countries worldwide situated under replacement level. So that means, how about global trend in impacting fertility rate? 3 causes: societal causes, environmental causes, as well as medical causes. So how about social causes? As you know, for example, in France, the mean age of the first delivery is delayed more and more. Now in big city like Paris, the national mean age is 31.3 months in France, but in the big city like Paris, like Lyon, like Marseille, around 34 years. So that's the first one. The second one, due to the economic crisis, the people delayed to conceive, and French population ignore about the reality of their fertility, because they don't know, always most of people don't know that fertility declines with the age. And finally, this excessive confidence in effectiveness of art. As you know, and you agree with me, take home baby by using ART today represent around, according to the country, between 25 up 30%. So imagine in 2021, 25% of children born in France from mother aged 35 and over, and from father aged 38 and over. So, and the decline, we are facing to the decline in the desire of children among Z generation. This is here to mention about environmental causes. You have to know daily you are exposing about 100 molecule we consider as endocrine disruptors. So this endocrine disruptor from environmental origin or from chemical origin. If today you're comparing the concentration sperm of the grandfather and the small one represent over 56% less than that his grandfather. That means grandfather represents 100 million per ml, and the small one around 45 million per ml. So, and this declines represent the results of our lifestyle, like tobacco, cannabis, obesity, leanness, and eating disorder, and alcohol. And second one is the problem of transgenerational effects. So, how about the medical causes? You can, as you can know, in reproductive age, there is about 10–15% of women of childbearing age have endometriosis. All PCOS, according to the study, between 4 up to 21% is a common causes of menstrual cycle disorders, with the absence of reduced ovulation, without forget tubal pathologies. Also, in terms of male, there is male infertility of testicular origin like varicocele, or male infertility from endocrine origin, as well as male infertility in relation to genital tract injury, without forget 10% considered as unexplained infertility. What we already did in France. So France have had, despite of our a strong history of supporting family building, but now we're gonna to rethink our family policies, as well as natality policies. Imagine, relate to maternity leaves today, up to date, 16 weeks for the first and second child, 26 weeks for third one. And in terms of, in case of twin pregnancy, 34 weeks of maternity leave. In addition, there is a financial incentives and family allowances, subsidies, childcare and preschool education, work-life balance support, and cultivation of family-friendly workplace. So our President, Mr. Macron, in January 2024, considered the infertility as a major public health priorities, because in France there is 3.3 million people affected by infertility, men and women. But this 3.3 should be considered 6.6, because we have to integrate the partner. In Europe, there is 48 million, and worldwide around 200 million people suffering of infertility. It's more easy to speak about diabetes for the same number worldwide than that to explain about the infertility, because infertility disease touches to the intimate of us, touches to the family, to the society, etc., etc. So our national strategy to combat infertility has been implemented. We're working about since this program since 5 years. We did provide government the report in February 2022. My report, including around 20 of recommendation, grouped into 6 collective 6 priority areas. First one, educate and inform of a collective level, educate and inform at individual level, training health professional in infertility prevention, better detection and diagnosis of the causes of infertility, particularly in France, the problem of the number of urologists who are interested about male infertility. 5 of axis, establish of comprehensive and coordinated national research strategy on human reproduction and health, couple health and women health and infertility. And finally, we support the idea to put in place a national structure on fertility and natality, embodying ART activities, guaranteeing the coordination of teams involved in the prevention as well as infertility treatment. So what does mean better educate and to inform the public in terms of reproduction, fertility decline, with the age, the limit of effectiveness of art? How? By educate early, in secondary school and a communication campaign, fertility days, for example, or fertility week, like what you're doing this week. Second one, delivering individual information to specific categories of the adolescent population. And education to informing from this population between 12 up 17 years, how a long term of reproductive health consultation. This explains, as I told you, now French government accept to take in charge consultation, free consultation, check my FERT, and second one, preconceptional consultation 3-4 months before to conceive. A third one, train a health professional in infertility prevention. How? By including teaching on infertility prevention in all diploma of specialized study. For example, by including general practitioner, pharmacist, midwife, nurse, etc., etc. Better detection and diagnosis of infertility cases, because we have in France a France Genomic 2025 program. This including the woman, for example, when they presenting premature ovarian failure, early premature ovarian failure, all men with non-obstructive azoospermia, both can be included in French Genomic 2025 to identify a panel of genes. And today we have very robust data to mention that we identify more these gene panels, and the majority involving in severe disease like cancer. That means if we translate this population, the woman with early premature ovarian failure, all men with non-obstructive azoospermia, both should be in term expectancy life, losing about 4 or 5 years in comparison with healthy people. So 5 axis is integrating infertility and reproductive health into national priority. How? By including prevention in founding priority as a national program, PEPR. Now French government did support around 30 million. This is it's huge, but at the same time is not enough, because aiming to put in place 2 consortium, one on endometriosis, second one about infertility. Last axis is national coordination. How? By improving the efficiency of genetic diagnosis, better diagnosis and management of unexplained infertility, better detection and diagnosis of male infertility. So, of course, the political instability in France since the last 3 years, it is not easy to continue our program, but nothing will be done according us without political willingness, because it's primordial and crucial to build such program. So invest today in reproductive medicine, yes, to prevent the decrease of a human species. What we consider as important today for new policies to support fertility action. First one, child care policies by increasing child care availability, subsidizing child care and child care economic benefit. Workplace policies, improving maternity leaves as well as paternity leaves, shortened or part-time working hours, and introducing unpaid job protected leave. Third one, financial incentives by the introduction of a baby bonus, offering tax incentives offering monthly cash transfer per child and financial incentive economic benefit. Third one, ART Center by improving public funding of IVF, offering infertility insurance mandates, increasing availability of IVF service, and assisted reproductive economic benefit. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Samir. You might stop sharing. Yes, thank you very much. Oh, I wish all other countries would follow France with your project. That sounds really impressive. Thank you. Just to remind all the participants that who are in the audience that you are free to make any questions to the Q&A part. So please add your questions there. And Samir, I'm not sure if you are able to stay until the Q&A part.
4 or 5 minutes.
Okay, but we are basically still having one speaker left. So
okay. I can connect after in this case.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. So, just a minute. Our next speaker is, I'm going backwards, so it's Vassiliki from Greece. Vassiliki Chantzakou is an economist and graduate in physical sciences, combining a strong analytic background with a passion for public health and patient advocacy. She's the founder of Mitrotita, a non-profit civil organization established in 2023. The organization's vision is to provide information and psychological support to infertility patients across Greece. Vassiliki also manages the secret portal, Mistiki Pili, an influential Facebook community for infertile couples. This community hosts over 7,000 members, primarily women facing infertility from all over Greece and various European cities, offering them a safe space for sharing and support. Beyond her work in advocacy, Vassiliki is a researcher at the Department of Applied Philosophy at the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens. Her research focuses on the ethical dilemmas arising from the use of assisted reproduction technologies, including complex issues such as surrogacy and gamete donation. Vassiliki's dedication stems from her personal journey, driving her commitment to empower others with the knowledge and support she found essential in her own path. So, Vassiliki, your turn.
Good evening. Hi. Let me share my... Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Good evening to everyone. Welcome to our Mitrotita classroom as part of European Fertility Week 2025. I am Vassiliki, the founder of Mitrotita. Today, as a representative of fertile couples, I will share with you the toughest side of not having the right knowledge at the right time. Okay. I want to start with a very old but also a very simple idea, the Hippocratic Oath. Hippocratic Oath, it's all what the doctors promise. The main point of that promise is simple: do no harm. We usually think of harm as something physical, but today I want us to look at a different kind of harm, the harm of silence and the harm of not knowing. When we, as society, don't teach young people the simple facts about their own fertility, we are causing a quiet, long-term harm. We are leaving them unprepared. The lack of facts becomes a silent form of damage. Our mission is to make sure that silence stops causing damage. Knowledge is it's our ultimate protection. So let's look at why this lack of knowledge is so dangerous. Studies, especially facts game, shows that less than 55% of young people know the basics about how long fertility lasts. Think about it. Think about it for a little. The half of our future parents are guessing about their own bodies. This isn't just a number to me. It's my personal story. I was young too. When I started trying for a baby, doctors told me the easy things. You are young, you have time, you have plenty of time. That advice was comforting, but it was also wrong. I didn't know that then. It led to a 5 years journey of trying. I remember feeling lost and uncertain. I lived with constant fear and depression. The emotional weight was crushing. My own journey taught me that when you are told you have time instead of here are the facts, it can cost you years, energy, and especially it can cost you your mental health. We must stop this. We need to replace empty reassurances with clear, true information. So, when the facts are missing, what fills the gap? Pain, tons of pain. For us, the infertile couples, the journey is defined by 3 huge emotional struggles. Personal failure. You feel like your body has let you down. Society makes you feel like you failed at the most natural thing in the world, to become a mother or to become a father. Isolation and secrecy. We all know the word taboo, the taboo. Because people don't talk about fertility struggles, we suffer in secret. We push away friends. We carry this heavy secret alone. The taboo is like a wall of silence built around our pain. The time trap. When we finally get the diagnosis, we're immediately rushing against time. We enter the stressful IVF labyrinth, a complex, expensive, and heartbreaking maze of treatments. We need to break the cycle of failure and isolation. We need the facts to tear down the wall of silence. So, what is the cost of doing nothing? It's huge. Our message today is simple. Move fast, move facts. When we ignore the need for education, there is a triple cost. First, personal cost. Years lost to emotional drama, regret, and depression. Medical cost. The need for expensive, advanced, and often less successful IVF treatments later in life. Community cost. The burden on healthcare system and the sadness of families that struggles needlessly. Our plea at Mitrotita is clear. Fertility education is not optional. It is a basic right. It gives people the power to decide for their own lives, for their own future. So we call on policymakers to put fertility facts into schools. We call on doctors to give honest, proactive advice, not just wait until there is a problem. We must act now to bring the facts forward. So this is my final thought. We have seen the harm of silence. We have the roadmap to change that. So we need everyone to stand with us now for 3 final reasons. Stand with us and teach. Let's educate every young person. Stand with us and save future lives. Let's prevent the pain that we, the people listening today, have lived through. Stand with us and end regret. No one should ever have to say, I wish someone had told me sooner. Let's replace regret with hope and silence with knowledge. Thank you for standing with us. Thank you for pushing facts forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vassiliki. It's always so emotional to listen to the patient perspective, and your presentation was a great end for these presentations. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if I may now ask all the speakers to open their cameras, and we can start the Q&A part. And Monica, if you can make it in a way that we can see all the speakers. For the audience. And one more. Great, thank you. So, thank you all so far for your great presentations and such a variety of perspectives that we heard. We have some questions already here, and the first one, basically, this might go to all of you, and feel free to speak even though the question is not addressed straight to you, but this is for all of you, and we'd like to hear your opinion. How do we reach people who have already passed school age without putting pressure on them to decide about their lives? And who should be addressing them? So the ones that we don't reach in schools anymore, how can we tell them gently about these facts? Christiana.
I think once people are out of that schooling age, the people that they tend to see after that are healthcare professionals. So the responsibility then lays with them, but that's who we also need to educate, because general practitioners, for example, aren't specialized in fertility and perhaps won't go into detail or don't have the required knowledge to offer the advice that people might need. So definitely healthcare professionals, GPs. In the UK, there are GPs, and lots of European countries, I think you see a general practitioner before you're actually referred to a specialist. So that would be the first point of call. For females, I suppose it would also be where they would go to get their regular checkups. A nurse, a midwife. So I don't think it should be specific places we should target. I think it should be everywhere. This information should be everywhere, and it's up to policymakers to change national agendas and include reproductive health education, and it's up to us to educate them as well so that they can make this happen. We can't do that alone, organizations like ours. But too small, our reach can only go up to a certain point.
But what about the young people who are totally healthy and don't have to go to the healthcare professionals, and they don't meet them, for example, for many years? So what is the solution for them?
Social media, TikTok. We need to go to where young
the worst,
people
but
are
the best.
at. Yeah, I think so.
What do you think, Irina?
I'd like to contribute by saying that this educational, mostly informational awareness campaign should really touch all society subgroups. And the easiest one are the teenagers, really. But yeah, this is something for the future. But now we are dealing with adults. And how do we reach them? We should combine our efforts. One very obvious tool is general practitioners, doctors, and in that sense, we could, as patient associations and as NGOs, we could help them, because many times even them lack the necessary tool. What we can provide them is even in the form of a single poster, that like the one that IRHEC is doing. This speaks volumes. This could be put in every school, in every practitioner's office. And this is how plenty of other healthcare campaigns are being done. And also, we have to engage the media, because this is as important as the campaign against smoking and drinking, for example, for me. And the media, socially responsible media, should get on board. So it requires a multi-effort, but it's the only way until we manage to achieve implementation of obligatory reproductive health education in school. Still, yet, this has to be reiterated, because people tend to forget. Yeah.
Yeah, social media being the best way to reach them, but also the most dangerous way for them to get wrong information. That's an endless battle there. One question for Vassiliki. What about the culture and infertility and young people in Greece, for example? Is there at the moment some kind of pressure for the young people to have children, or what is the culture? What is
Yes,
the
there is. Yes, we have
environment at the moment?
Yes, we have the idea, the old the parents imagine their children getting married and have children. We have that. But the problem is that all the old ones, the parents, are not informed about the fertility or the fertility rates. I mean, they don't know about infertility status. They think that everything is like when they were young. They think that it's not a problem. We don't have in Greece. The government has never run a campaign about infertility. We have a great taboo here in Greece. The infertile couples don't speak at all. Many of them are getting IVF treatment. They have their children, and then they go to the society and never say, I had an IVF treatment. They say it was a natural, I mean, I have naturally this kit. It's not an IVF kit. So there is a lot of secrecy here in Greece, and people don't know what infertility is and where are the rates. That infertility is a major problem worldwide. So we stay to the what our parents think. Get married, have children, things like that. When I was young, I will talk about my journey. When I was young, I was the second child in my family. My mother had 4 children. So all the three others were fertile. They had their own babies without pressure. So I was the only one who had problem. And my mother used to be ashamed of it. She was telling me, don't tell anyone that you are taking IVF treatment. Don't tell them. I was trying. So this idea, it's still, it's the idea today. Don't tell that you are taking IVF treatments. So we don't have that's why we don't have the actual number on infertile couples in Greece. We are assuming as organization that there are 300,000 infertile couples. We're assuming. We don't know for sure. So we have a lot, we have a huge problem in this area. So it's very tough to inform the young people. It's very hard as organization to go to schools or to the we can easily inform about the facts game. It's very hard for us
But this
as organization.
this
Sorry
what
for
you
my English.
no, it's totally understandable and perfect.
I hope
This
so.
this discussion about parents should be also educated is something that we have also discussed
I
within
think
Fertility Europe.
if you're
Yes.
asking me to say something more, I think here in Greece we have to inform first the parents and after the young persons, the kids.
Yeah.
They are not ready to accept it.
Yes, that's true. And there is a big gap between different countries' cultures about this. So it might be this in Greece and it might be totally different in Norway or somewhere else. But yeah. But we have a question to Christiana. There seem to be many different campaigns and initiatives around fertility education and awareness. Do you think there's a way to give them more strength and visibility by uniting these efforts, especially in regards to the European or EU level?
Yes, we would love to. We need funding to do more research. We need policymakers to take notice of us and want to sit down with us and hear us. And it has to happen at national levels and EU levels. There's only so much we can do, and we have done so much as IRHEC. We've produced the poster. We're translating now. So much work is going into translating. The poster has been translated into 14 languages. The teacher's resource and all our leaflets are currently being translated into different languages. So we're doing our best, but there's a cap on how much we can do. The fact that ESHRA has taken us under its wing is a huge step. And now that we've created all of these documents and the information is there, the next step is to contact and connect policymakers and start trying to implement change. But that can take years. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. And there'll be a generation of people still out there not having this vital information. So yes, definitely, that's what ultimately we all want to do. But until then, the only way is for organizations like ours to do webinars like this and have fertility education awareness weeks, and to just try to do it alone until we're able to reach that stage. I think now that I'm talking on behalf of IRHEC, now that the information has been created, we are evaluating it. We're going to look at the impact it has. We're going to change it, make it better, make it more accessible and inclusive if we have to. So we're working constantly in the background to make it as perfect as we can. And definitely the next step, it's on the agenda. That's what we're planning to do. So we are going to engage with policymakers at some point and hopefully take it to a higher level.
Well, sounds good. There is even a continuing question to that, Christiana. What makes the educational initiatives that you have listed good? And were they created by the organizations or by the policymakers?
So the ones that I've listed were in majority created by academics. So they have nothing to gain from this. These are people whose whole lives are dedicated to improving fertility awareness, to advocating for reproductive health education. So unfortunately, no, none of them have been developed by policymakers. It would be great if they did. I mean, the UNFPA is probably the only organization on a big sort of level that cares about reproduction and maternal health, and they're actually actively doing things and on a high level as well. I'm not aware of any other sort of big initiatives at policymaker level. There might be some out there that I'm not aware. However, especially when we think about the US and we've seen what's happened in the past few months, we can see that governments and policymakers, instead of advocating for this, are actually restraining reproductive rights and the right to have education on this matter. So yeah, definitely. I mean, the ones I listed are academics, and academics usually have nothing to gain from this, and the information is usually accurate and factual.
Thank you. Just one more question to all of you. Do you think, I'm sorry that Samir hasn't been able to come back to this Q&A. There were some questions to him. I'll probably ask him to answer them, and then I will put them on our website, what his answers are, because I would have liked to hear some of his answers too. But to you all, because Samir had his presentation and it was called Worldwide Strategy for Fighting Infertility. And this is, of course, a huge task worldwide. But do you think it is really feasible to have a European strategy or even worldwide for fertility? And let's talk about on European level only, because we don't want to touch the worldwide. So how do you think, is it feasible to have in every country the same kind of campaign and legal status of fertility education for the young people? Who wants to start? Irina, you are the expert.
Yeah, I am a firm believer in that. And as a member of Fertility Europe, I am working for that. And Fertility Europe is working for that. And although healthcare is a national priority, it's not regulated on EU level. Still, there are certain ways to give the direction for the countries, and especially when dealing with education is also the same on the same level, but especially when dealing with young people, there is a lot that can be done on young EU level. So I truly believe that pushing on EU level is the right way, and then the things will go down because the countries, mostly apart from the biggest EU player, they follow the EU, how to say, trends and guidelines. Simplified speaking. So my idea is that we should aim at the top and try to persuade the politicians and the decision makers on EU level first. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't work in parallel on national level. Because at the end, it's all done on national level, but I can give you the example of Bulgaria. Bulgaria is a new member of the EU almost 20 years ago, was kind of forced to harmonize its regulation in the field of MAR in order to follow the EU directives. And now we have it all, while some other countries still don't have law on MAR. Neighboring countries, for example. We were forced to do that, and this is how it goes for us. I'm sure that the same could be applied for some educational measures in order to fight the huge demographic problem and infertility problem.
That's a great point of view that maybe EU first makes this kind of project for the member countries, and it's easier for non-EU countries then to follow this success that would definitely be there, hopefully. Thank you. What about you, Christiana? What do you think?
I agree.
Is it feasible?
Definitely. I mean, what we must remember, though, is that we do need to tailor the information that we will ultimately be providing to each country for the audience of those specific countries to respect, cultural boundaries and things like that. However, if the general consensus is there and there's an EU directive, then I'm sure that each country can have its own sort of curriculum. The same applies to our teachers' resource and the guide. So teachers can pick and choose what material they take to teach. It's there, though. It's there in its entirety, and people can choose what they want to teach their children ultimately. But rather than nothing, then definitely best to just pick and choose until, the whole world wants to receive all the information at some point, hopefully. But as initial steps, definitely. And we can do that. That's what's so frustrating. The information is there, the people are there, the volunteers are there, there's all of us. This is not a paid job for us. We're doing this because we want to help. There are so many people out there who are just like us. And the IRHEC network, and I'm sure with Fertility Europe, you've got a similar network out there. There are hundreds of people willing to help, either because they're interested in the subject or because they've been through fertility treatments and they don't want the future generations to have to go through the same. We now have the information. We know the facts that we want everyone to know. And that's where we're hitting a wall, which is just incredibly frustrating.
What do you think, Vassiliki? Is it feasible?
I agree with Irina and Christiana, but I have to add that we have to grab the teenagers' attention. That's the main point. Every campaign that you are going or we are going to schedule, it has to be the main point of this campaign should be this: how will grab the teenagers' attention? Because young people nowadays have many things to do. They have to be educated, to go to school, to go to be with their friends, to do the things that they're doing. So infertility is not something they care about. They don't care. I have students. I try to talk them about the facts game, and they say me, okay, if I will find time, I will let you know and we will discuss it. They never find time. So the main thing for me is to grab the teenagers' attention. Who will do that? By simple campaigns, with TikTok, I don't know. We have to think about it. So if we want them to to give the proper attention to what we want to say. We want to talk about infertility. It's an unknown word for them, especially here in Greece. They don't know about what is infertility. What is so we must find a way to say to maybe a campaign that will catch their eyes and make say, what is this? Let's go and find out. Something like that.
Irina, you look like you want to
That's why,
say something.
yeah, that's why we think that schools are the most suitable places to reach them, because it will be like a combination of being forced to learn and being interested in learning, and also about the digital tools.
Mhm.
They have to speak their language, and I think we tried to achieve that with the facts game. Probably not to 100%. Yes, yet you weren't able to attract your students, but many of them said that yes, we really think about our future. We realize that we don't get the facts right at school. We would like to hear and learn more. They yeah, there is something in them. They're not only into entertainment and amusement, but still we need to be brief, we need to be digital, and we need to use the school environment in order to reach them all, not only the ones who are, let's say, in a privileged environment to think about their future.
So use the schools, because in there they can't avoid to get the information, basically. Yeah. And Vassiliki, did you want to say something?
Okay, I want to say that we have to be attractive.
Yes.
Because some young people, yes, they are interested in knowing what is fertility and facts and everything, but there are many of others that don't care. They have some others priorities, so we have to attract them somehow, all of them. It's not the main point to save some of the young people, some of the teenagers. As a society, we have to teach them all. So our campaigns or social must be attractive to them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's why we had the pilots for the facts game, so that we tested if we are on the right track and if we are reaching the teenagers,
Facts
which we
game
did.
is very, very interesting. It's very nice. Some of my students played it, but I had to, to attract, to talk about it and say, okay, go, play it. And after they had played, they said, yes, it's very interested.
Yes, we got really, really nice feedback from it. Okay, thank you all speakers. I think it's time for us to end this interesting webinar. And like I said, sorry that we missed Samir for this discussion, but like I said, I will approach him later and get some answers to the questions. Thank you so much for the audience for joining us. We appreciate your time and participation. And special thanks, of course, to our excellent speakers, Irina, Christiana, Vassiliki, and Samir. And if you have any further questions about this issue or the European Fertility Week or Fertility Europe or anything, just contact our office at fertilityeurope.eu or visit our newly updated website at fertilityeurope.eu, and let's stay connected. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice evening.